The month of June has been Pride Month, and celebration around pride and queer identities has been of paramount importance and had great visibility, important visibility. The South African Human Rights Commission reports still a high number of discrimination cases against people in the queer community. An Ipsos report tells us that 10% of South Africans identify as LGBTQI, as well as discrimination amongst those. I want to take you back to the story of Diego Jacobs, a 21-year-old gay man in Cape Town that was murdered earlier this year. The story of Diego Jacobs became emblematic for the types of lives that queer people live in South Africa, in constant fear. And as we celebrate Pride Month, and as we come to the end of the celebration of Pride Month, I want to bring into the conversation Jason Fiddler, who is the chairperson and founding board member of Durban Pride. Jason, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Describe to us, in as great detail as you possibly can, the state of queer lives in South Africa today.
Thank you so much, Oliver. Sorry, just a point of order. I'm chairperson of KZN Gay and Lesbian Tourism Association, but I also support Nonhlanhla Mkhize, director of Durban Pride.
My apologies.
So good to have. No problem. Just want to go on record there. So your question is related to how our Durban Pride matters in this particular era of human rights awareness and also human rights ignorance. We're part of a community that seems to only once a year be noticed by the media or by corporates or by society for both good and possibly not so good reasons. And our community is on the forefront of being recipients of violence and recipients of discrimination, even today, 30 years of our democracy down the line. And that is something that we cannot abide anymore.
Yeah. And usually Pride Month is an opportunity for us to speak about the challenges facing queer people. It also is an opportunity for us to speak about what our collective responsibility is to make the rights of queer people actualizable and to protect queer people, especially those most vulnerable, as best as they possibly can. In what ways are we beginning to get it right, if at all?
In many ways, communities are considerably more accepting and understanding of the queer members of their families, of their employees, of their employers. We, at the same time, face the challenge where we are a soft target in a way. Because we're visible, because we, in many cases, are quite open in terms of our identity, we are seen as the other. And in society, the other is something that you can easily lump your discrimination, your fears, your concerns upon, because you can direct it at that person. And that is something that we as a community, especially in marginalized communities, in townships, in rural areas, are consistently subjected to blatant discrimination, blatant sexism, blatant homophobia and transphobia. And I feel like we seem to be having this conversation every year at about the same time. You ask if we've seen progress. Well, we've seen the President, Ramaphosa, sign into law the hate crimes bill, which allows for the prosecution of people who specifically conduct crime with elements of hate and discrimination therein. We've also seen progress in terms of the cyber crimes bill, which has allowed for online hate speech to also be identified and used in terms of prosecution. So those are great tools, and this country has great laws under the Constitution that gives us protection. But the question I put to you is, how do we internalize that as people in our daily lives and accept that we live in a really diverse society that constitutes the beauty that is this country, and within that means you have people who don't think the way that you think, maybe don't worship the way that you think, don't speak the same language, but we share the same space and we share the same fundamental Bill of Rights that's given fruit by the Constitution itself.
Just circling back to some of the actions there of President Cyril Ramaphosa, of course, signing those bills into law. I want us to ask, has the government been doing enough in terms of protecting the lives of queer people, not just in South Africa, but wherever in the world they carry influence? They've been able to demonstrate to us in taking Israel to the International Court of Justice on killings and a murderous spree taking place in Palestine, that it does care about human rights and it does carry influence, but it was visibly silent when Uganda, for instance, had signed into law incredibly heinous laws persecuting and prosecuting the lives of gay people there, making it quite literally legal to throw them in jail, to perhaps even kill them, because the death penalty is a punishable sentence that can be meted out against people in Uganda for being gay. All while that is happening, our neighbor Namibia, just last week, the court there striking down anti-homosexuality laws, making it legal as a gay person to get married in Uganda. So a lot of progress happening around us, but where we can exert influence, are we doing it correctly?
No, we're not. Let's be utterly frank here. The purpose of government is to protect its people and to protect its interests of its people. And I don't want to get into the nuances of constitutional law or, which government is better than another, which regime or party. But when we are as people expected to be protected under a body of laws, which this country has a tremendous body of laws that protect us, we want to see that implemented not just by government, but by everybody in society. Look, South Africans play fast and loose with the rules regularly. And if you want to look at that, look on the roads. People don't respect the rule of the law on the roads. So if you're not respecting simple rules, then when we're asking you to respect major rules, how do you respect another person of a different gender? How do you respect the person of age? How do you respect a person of disability? It's a tricky question because people are so easy to throw away the rules and say, well, that doesn't apply to me. The truth is, it does apply to you. If we look at South Africa's track record in terms of human rights, going back 30 years, it is remarkable. And we have certainly put in place a number of legislative and broad policy initiatives that has brought about change. But we tend to have a bit of myopia when it comes to certain rights or certain friends or certain neighbors. If a neighbor's house is on fire, you want to go and help put that fire out. If a neighbor's doing things that you know could set the house alight, surely you're going to say something. Now, when somebody's human rights are being infringed in a country in Africa, we say, we either are Africans and we work together as a continent-wide belief system in Ubuntu, or we don't. Which is it? I mean, it's simply put, if we believe in the rule of law and we believe in human rights, then we will speak out when other people treat their citizens in a way that we know is wrong, and especially the most vulnerable being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, and other people.
Yeah. Tell us about the festivities taking place in Durban today. Of course, the Durban Pride Liberation March and Festival is taking place. Tell us all about it.
Well, like every year, Durban holds its Pride at the end of June. It coincides with the Global Pride. This is going back some 15 years. Durban's Pride is modest in comparison to everybody else's, but what I've always really loved about our community here, and the visitors who love coming down here, it's actually quite warm. I'll tell you, the jacket's a little bit of an excess right now. But Durban is a very integrated, very, very diverse community of people with passionate cultures. We're a small community, but we tend to be very much together. And I'm very, very proud of that fact. I would love us to see more resources put towards it. And I can tell you right now, I think a lot of lip service has been paid by authorities and how they will support us and what they will do. Every year we have the same tune, and at the same time we seem to make it come together. My hat goes off, of course, to Unonhlanhla Mkhize and Lutha Habani from the Durban Gay and Lesbian Centre, who are the principal organisers of Durban Pride. It's a modest affair, but it's a beautiful affair. And of course, on our weather, where else would you like to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm envious of that Durban weather. Spent the last couple of days there, flew back into Johannesburg this morning. I can tell you that it is the best weather in the country right now. So do enjoy those festivities and the Pride Month. Jason, thank you so much for your time. Jason Fiddler is the KwaZulu-Natal Gay and Lesbian Tourism Association Chairperson.